Welcome in the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app. We're on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Also during the week, Monday through Friday, we're on the Nothing But Net channel on Dash Radio. Also check out the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Going to cross 12,000 subscribers tonight, I think. Maybe you should be one of them. Royal Shepherd hosting the post up on 5R as we speak. Also, 5reasonsports.com. Spell that one out. Brady Hawk has already posted his latest takeaways. No paywall. Check out the great sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, including our friends over at Therapist Preferred. This has become part of my nightly routine. I do not sleep well. People who know me know maybe I get 2-3 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. Well, this has helped a little bit lately. This is a CBD company founded in 2019 by a physical therapist to optimize performance and recovery for active people, but it's also helping me get some rest. 100% THC free and third-party lab verified. All products made in the U.S. with cutting-edge technology from organically grown hemp. The most popular products, the CBD sports cream and the strawberry lemonade and green apple flavored gummies. I prefer the strawberry lemonade, but to each their own. Free shipping on all orders and 20% off that order using the promo code 5 Reasons. So it's the number 5 and then Reasons. 20% off your order. Here's where you go. Therapistpreferred.com. Therapistpreferred.com. I keep hearing people telling me they're using CBD. Well, get the 20% off and use the best one that's founded by a physical therapist. All right. So again, it's therapistpreferred.com. Use the code 5. That's the number, Reasons. And now today's episode.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
on the floor.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily show on the Miami Heat and the NBA featuring Ethan Skolnick with Alex Toledo and Greg Sylvander, part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All right, Ethan Skolnick back on 5 on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. It's me. It's Greg Sylvander. We're going to get right to it. Huge game, huge win for the Miami Heat, 130-124 against the Boston Celtics. If you turn this thing off at halftime, you're probably like, what the hell? The Heat led by as much as 27, I believe. They had 79 points at the half. They played pretty much a near perfect first half in which Jimmy Butler had only one shot attempt. I tweeted at halftime, it was one of the most dominant one-shot halves I've ever seen. To me, though, Greg, what this game tells us, and of course, we'll get into the ramifications of it in the second part of the episode, but in the game itself, what this game tells us is, in a game that Jimmy Butler took just one shot in the first half, this game proved more than any other this entire season how central Jimmy Butler is to absolutely everything they do, because his start, getting everybody else involved, his defense, but then this thing was getting away as we all kind of figured it would. And he's the guy, he makes the critical 3, the 2 possessions to settle them down where he gets them 5 points after they were chucking up a bunch of on the break threes. Tyler, can we stop that stuff when you're up by that much? I mean, superstar, simple.
No doubt. And like, there's a couple things here that I think we should talk about. And one is that there's no doubt that Jimmy is like in rare form. Like he is just, I'm just going to say this. There is not a player on earth that if you're saying that we're going up against and Jimmy Butler has that matchup, that I'm saying, oh gosh, I don't know if Jimmy's going to be able to handle this one. Like literally, I'm that confident. That's how good Jimmy Butler looks right now. But as much as he had to settle them, carry them, get them back on track, he controlled the second half in a way that Miami had to have in order to keep this victory. And it looked like it was slipping at times in the second half. We can't ignore the fact that he was a much more passive player, and but not passive in a negative sense, but the team really lifted up in the first half and built that lead. And sometimes that's the ebbs and flows of basketball. And I feel like to have, 6 guys with 12 points or more, like that's huge for the team. And we're going to talk about contributions from all the guys, but it's important I think, to say that this is a team win, but it damn sure was a team win that was led by Jimmy.
Yeah, led is the key word. And that is his great skill, I think, is his ability to recognize when he needs to go. and his feel for the players around his team. And I feel like this year it's taken a little bit longer because there's been so much in and out with some of those players and a couple of the new pieces, but now he understands them. I can tell you a couple of inside things here. Jimmy hates day games, hates them. And in day games, he doesn't try to get his offense early. And so this was not a surprise to those who know him that he would play the first half this way.
Or you.
But again, you can play the first half this way when other guys on the team are playing the way that they played. I did think in the first half, everybody else made significant contributions. Now, I know we're going to get to Bam. I do think we need to get to Bam, okay? And I think we need to assess this objectively because this has been a few games in a row now where Bam has not been elite level Bam, at least on the offensive end, okay? But let's go through some of the stuff that happened here in the first half and who really contributed. And I mean, the Trevor Ariza thing at this stage.
It's unreal.
I polled this. I polled this. We talked about it on Before Floor. Like, who would you rather have at the end of games, Ariza or Iguodala? Polled about 50-50. And this is no shot at Andre, who I thought did some good things today. I mean, Andre is the king of the no, yes shots. He had a couple of those today. But, I mean, to be getting this is the second game in a week where Ariza's given him plus 15 points in the first half, which is not something they really acquired him to do. Like, I mean, we've talked about the Dedmon effect because it plugged such a hole for them. But the Ariza thing, like, I mean, he is just so seamlessly fit into this thing that it's like, I don't want to disparage what Crowder did. Crowder was critical for them. There are going to be certain matchups. If they get Milwaukee in a 6-3, they're going to miss Jay Crowder. You're right. Okay. Jay Crowder, right. He guarded up. He guarded Giannis. Ariza's a different kind of defender. But for what they needed, like, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the guy hasn't played in a year. He's played 18 seasons. I know they've wanted him for a long time, but to be playing at this level is crazy.
Right. Those Remy workouts must really be effective. But
yeah, Stanley, we want you on the pod, by the way.
Right. Shout out there for sure. But spend a couple minutes on Trevor Ariza, because you're right. Like, as much as we talk about Dwayne Dedmon and we talk about what Victor Oladipo was going to bring, Trevor Ariza is allowing Spoelstra to get back to some of the stuff that they really caught stride with last year. And in the 15 games in April, I mean, he's shooting 40% from 3 on 5 attempts. Like, that is consistent at 29 minutes a game. They're relying on him in ways that we never expected. And that is not going away. Like, you can tell Spoelstra is locked in with Ariza. He's such a smart player, way smarter of a player than I had the chance to really digest watching him from afar. You know what I mean? So I really, now he's at a point where, just looking recently, he goes 13 points, 4 points, 18 points, 4 points, 18 points, 9 points, 18 points, 6 points, 19 points. So it's like every other game he's having a breakthrough performance. And I just think that, like, that's the kind of stuff in the playoffs that when you get a hot hand like that, even if it's for a half, even if it's for a game, it's how you squeak out really close, hotly contested series.
He is basically right now Andre Iguodala with his legs. I mean, he's giving them.
It's a great way of saying it.
Right. I mean, he's giving them he's like, you know how Andre came in last year and he'd missed some time, obviously, because he chose to. He didn't want to play for Memphis. He worked out on his own. Took him a little bit of time to get in shape, but then we kind of saw it in the postseason. Basically, that's Ariza right now. Okay. And you combine him and Dedmon, who gave them really professional minutes again tonight. Okay. Not the huge numbers, but the boxing out. Again, the finishing. There was one play, and we really do have to look at this team, everything in the prism of Jimmy Butler. That's where we are. Okay, this is still Jimmy's team. That has been proven this year beyond a shadow of a doubt. They are 5 to 6 points better, you know, when he's on the court. Well, 12 points, because they're like a negative
and
5
way better on defense. Way better.
Way better. Okay. They were not able to survive games without Jimmy this year. They were able to survive games without other players on this team, including Bam. Okay. It's still Jimmy's team. Everything is in the prism of Jimmy. And here's why I think that these players will stay. Okay. There was a sequence, I think it was in the third, must have been in the third, because those were the Dedmon minutes, where Jimmy, they were trying to stem a run, and Jimmy fed this little very quick pocket pass near the basket to Dedmon that Dedmon finished. That would have been fumbled by Precious. That's a pass he probably wouldn't have thrown to Olynyk earlier this season.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that is, it's just a trust level that he has with him. I mean, it's funny. Ira and I talked about this on Onside, that part of the problem that Precious was having was that Jimmy wasn't like catering to him anymore. Like early in the season, it's like, okay, he's the rookie. I'm not going to throw that kind of pass. When he started throwing those kind of passes, because shit started to get serious.
Yeah.
Like,
And he didn't catch him. He's like, okay, I need my lunch pail, guys.
Right. Exactly. I just need a pro. And everything I've heard about Dedmon is great veteran presence, great voice in the locker room. Great. I mean, and one of the shames of this season, and for the bubble for that matter, for people like me and Ira and Anthony Chang and others, is we would be in the locker room. We would be able to see some of these interactions. I can't see any of it this year. Everything I've gotten from the inside has been from texts, okay, phone conversations. That's not how I usually did my job, right? You could tell how players interacted with each other when you saw them in the locker room, the way they spoke about each other, okay, the way they pulled you aside, okay. They haven't had any of it this year. All I can tell is, again, texts and what I see on the court. What I see on the court is Jimmy Butler trusts Trevor Ariza and Dwayne Dedmon implicitly, okay? And that comes across in a game like this, a game that you need. They're on the floor. They make those plays.
Just like he does Iggy.
Just like he does Iggy. But again, I think at this stage, Ariza is Iggy in better shape. Not that Iggy's not in shape. He's in shape. But I mean, I just think maybe there's a little less wear on Ariza's body. Remember, Trevor's played deep into the playoffs at times. Iguodala
and he had the time off that Iggy just quite frankly has not had.
And remember, Iggy went to 5 straight finals, okay, and was asked to guard the best player on the other team, including LeBron James, a lot. So I just think some of that is catching up to Iggy. All right, again, second half of the episode, we're going to pivot a little bit, but I do want to focus on some of the others who were major for them in the first half. The combination of Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Goran Dragic, and Tyler Hero. I thought one of the keys to this game that's kind of a little understated, I did tweet it, Duncan avoided the early foul trouble.
Yeah.
When he gets in early foul trouble, Spoelstra gets out of his rhythm in terms of being able to rotate the guards. Duncan being able to play his normal minutes, okay? And he had some great defensive sequences against Jason Tatum that he would not have had a year ago. But his ability to play the normal minutes allowed them to roll the regular rotations. Kendrick was really big for them in the first half. He's really understanding when to shoot and when to pass. Not something he did last year. I thought Goran had a strong kind of feisty game, particularly in the first half, handled the ball pretty well in the second half, did get cooked a few times defensively in the second half, but that's going to happen. Tyler, he ended up a plus for the game. It's such a roller coaster with him though, because I do see the confidence and the bounce on offense coming back.
Yeah. But there's still those moments where not deer in headlights, like he's overwhelmed, but that there's like a loss of, I guess you could say, focus. But it is good to see him shooting better. And I think that just overall, like you mentioned, the Dragic minutes, 7 assists, 1 turnover, the team to only have 11 turnovers. Do you if you guys rewind back to when we were doing this show in the fall, like turnovers were literally crippling the team.
Right.
For them to be down to 11 with basically everybody but Depot, I think that's just huge for them. And I just got a stat here that I have to share as we go. With the win today, Miami's odds to avoid the play-in tournament jumped to 89%. That is per ESPN's whatever algorithms they're using to come up with those percentages.
All right, well, we're going to focus on that second half because I want to get to kind of where they go from here. So we'll pivot to that in a second. I definitely want to do that. Before we do, though, I want to tell you about another great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I may grab some dinner from there tonight. I've done that once this week already. That's Miami Grill. If you want the gyros, you want the wings, cooked pretty much any way you like them with all of the great sauces, you got to go to Miami Grill. Also, they've got a great burger. They got locations all over South Florida. I live in Fort Lauderdale. There's a few right near me, one on Oakland, one on Commercial. Of course, they're in Miami as well. They've got, again, the best cheesesteaks, wings, gyros, burgers. If you're craving it, Miami Grill's making it, and they're making it easy for you. They do the pickup, they do the drive-through, they do the dine-in, and they got the delivery available at all locations. So visit mymiamigrill.com. That's mymiamigrill.com, or download the Miami Grill app. All right, let's go forward, but let's hang here for just a second. on some stuff that happened today. And let's get into Bam. I'm looking at the final box score, and we probably should have cataloged this a little bit for you. Tatum ended up with 29 on 11 of 16 shooting with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. It didn't feel like that. Now, no Jaylen Brown today, and we knew that would be a factor. But, of course, Evan Fournier still thinks he's in Orlando against the Heat, and he had 30 with 8 assists. So I guess that was predictable. They got 16 in 19 minutes from Aaron Nesmith. So they did get some contributions from others. Tatum was a minus 14 on the game. But looking at the Heat, Jimmy, 26, 8, and 11, 9 of 14 shooting. So he ended up going 8 of 13 in the second half. I said that Jimmy and Bam needed to combine for 30 field goal attempts and 15 free throws. They got the free throws. They got 19 free throws. They made 17 of them. Bam was 10 of 11. Jimmy 7 of 8. And they were 14 of 19 combined from the field, but Bam had only 5 shots, 6 rebounds, including a big one late. I thought that one where he had his arm pinned at his hip and he had the offensive rebound, 3 assists, 2 steals. Evaluate Bam's game.
Oh man, he's so damn lucky that they didn't come back and lose this game, because it would have been the loudest noises ever. And me, obviously everyone knows I love Bam Adebayo. He's probably my favorite player in the league. And I would say this, that in a game where the offense was so spread out, as I've mentioned before, you had 6 players who had a dozen or more points, and kind of there was also you really had 3-point shooters going. I mean, Duncan Robinson was 6 of 10, Goran Dragic 3 of 5, Tyler Hero 2 of 3. So at that point, like with him, I think that he's 5 of 5. So he was efficient, and he still scored 20, and he still, they found a way to win with him doing what he did. So I don't know how many holes I'm going to poke, but to your point, like, this is the kind of game where, had it gone in the other direction, I don't think anybody would be talking about anything else other than 5 field goal attempts.
Yeah, I mean, 20 points on 5 field goal attempts. Like, in most situations, you'd be like, that's great. But there's a deeper stat here too. I mean, and again, plus minus single game sample size can be overrated. We know that, but Bam is pretty much an even player this year in terms of that. It's weird, and that was even the case when the Heat didn't have a reliable backup center behind him. And I'm looking here, Bam tonight, 33 minutes, or today, -3. Dedmon, 15 minutes, +9. That's not to suggest that Dedmon is a better player than Bam. It is amazing, though. If you look at their numbers combined, they combined to shoot 8 of 8 from the field. Right. They made all 8 of their shots. They combined for 26 points and 11 rebounds. Dedmon had a couple assists. Bam had 3, so that's 5. 2 steals between them, both for Bam. 1 block, one which was from Dedmon. I mean, you'll take these numbers anytime, but it does seem at times like when the Heat shooters are going, that Bam and Jimmy can get lost a little bit, but Jimmy finds his way to reassert himself in the game. So in other words, at that point where kind of what you knew what was going to happen, which is in the third, they would give up a run. Boston's done this to a lot of teams. We know that the Heat allows a lot of teams to do this. The Heat would give up a run, and you'd end up in a situation where, those shots weren't falling. Some of the shots, like that Hero pull up that looked so good, didn't look so damn good at that point. Right. And the other guy, none wasn't really, involved in the offense as much. And that Jimmy would find a way to get himself back going into the game. Like when he needed to press the accelerator, he would. With Bam, I don't feel like that. Like, I feel like either Bam is aggressive early or you're not getting it. Like if he's not aggressive early, you're getting a 5 to 7 shot game. Right. Like, and I think that's Heat fans' frustration. They want him to do what Jimmy does, and it's just not in him yet.
Yeah, no. And there's definitely some truth to that. I mean, just for perspective though, he hasn't had a single digit field goal game since, at least in the last 15 games, as I'm just glancing through here. But I'll just say this about Bam's game. And we used to talk a lot about this with Dwayne, and I know Ethan, I probably actually got it from you, is we would talk about like the sign of a great player and a great scorer and a guy who can lead a team is that some nights when you're off, you are able to still get your points because you could get to the free throw line 11 to 16 times. You know what I mean? Like that was a Dwayne staple. And like Bam hasn't necessarily arrived in that place at all. Today, he got there 10 of 11, but I would just say that if Bam can find a way to use free throws as a springboard to get more aggressive and not be 5 of 5, because it shows that he was like anything he did was working. So do more of it. Like, I think that that's just the maturation process that we're watching unfold, and we want it to happen sooner. Luckily today, he let free throws supplement his offense in a way that most stars and all stars can do. And but he doesn't do that every night. So today, he got it done and they got the victory.
All right. We are going to get to where they go from here, what happens the rest of this week. Before we do, though, I want to tell you about another great sponsor, 5 Reasons Sports Network. That's our friend Mark Brown. You can find him at markbrownpa.com. He can handle your estate planning for you. He can handle your real estate litigation and transactions, both commercial and residential. This is a law firm in North Lauderdale, just north of Cypress Creek, off of Andrews. With full service attorney-owned title company in-house, which is really helpful for you. Here's the thing. You mentioned 5 Reasons. You get the same $295 closing fee that I got when I just sold my condo here in Lauderdale. So $295 closing fee on all refinances, on all purchases. When mentioning 5 Reasons, just got to mention it to anybody there in the office. They handle evictions for both landlords and tenants, so both sides of it, and they offer flat fee evictions. So estate planning, which is something that you definitely need. I know a lot of our listeners are young fathers, certainly something you're going to want to take care of for your kids and for your family as we kind of speak to you on Mother's Day. MarkBrownPA.com. Mark Brown, that's MARC, BrownPA.com, 954-566-5678. That's 954-566-5678. MarkBrownPA.com, and huge Miami sports fan. All right, let's look ahead a little bit. They've got some time now. Now, no game on Monday. We'll come to you with a podcast. I'm planning on actually having Jared Greenberg from NBA TV on the pod tomorrow, so we'll mix it up a little with someone from the national space. Jared's been on with us before. Tuesday night. So again, it's more than 48 hours. They get a little bit of time to kind of rest in Boston, chill out a little bit. It's a night game, which, as we know, Jimmy prefers. There were some minutes played today, Jimmy in particular, but I feel like he's ready for this at this stage of the season. You look at the minutes today. Bam played 33. I tweeted in the first quarter, this looks like a 40-minute Jimmy Butler game. It was a 40-minute Jimmy Butler game. 36 minutes for Ariza, 34 for Duncan Robinson, who we haven't talked about enough, but he had 22 on 6 of 10 from 3, 29 for Dragic, and then 12 for Iguodala. So he was a little banged up coming in, didn't play a lot. And then some of the younger guys, Kendrick and Hero, combined for 41. I would expect they'd be in pretty good condition. I also would expect, with the season on the line, if Jaylen Brown was close today, that we're probably going to see Jaylen Brown on Tuesday, right? So, I mean, that changes the equation a little bit.
Yeah, if he's close. And if he doesn't play in that game, to me, that feels like Jaylen Brown's not going to play until the playoffs come. Similar to when we heard Oladipo wasn't making this flight for these 2 games, to me, I feel like we're writing off the rest of the regular season, and we'll see about the playoffs. And I may eventually be proven wrong. I just can't believe he may not come back. But back to where we're heading here in terms of looking ahead, I would expect that the full cast of characters will be available for Miami. Jaylen Brown, I have a feeling he's not going to play, but even if he does, this team looks locked in. The Heat do, in a way that I think that it would be business as usual. And as you look at the standings, now New York is currently, as we're doing this podcast, playing the Clippers in an afternoon game. And if the Clippers can hold on to that game at home, there'll be a 3-way tie for 4, 5, and 6. And I believe the way it'll shake out would mean Atlanta would move to 4, Miami would be in 5, and New York would be in 6. Now that's pending, obviously, New York losing to the Clippers.
Couple of things. One, this Heat team doesn't like prosperity. We've seen that all year long. That would be one of my concerns going into Tuesday. We saw it in game today. We've seen it between games this season. They've had trouble beating teams twice in these 2-game sets. So that would be a bit of a concern. Another concern is the possibility of Jaylen coming back. That obviously changes the equation here a little bit, gives you another creator and defender that you've got to worry about. I do think, though, that the 2-day break should help them. Now, I don't know what Robert Williams' status is going to be also, because he played early today and then left with a turf toe. I'm sorry. I've never been a Tristan Thompson guy. I don't. He just doesn't give you enough. In fact, I thought Bam should have attacked him a little bit more today. I said it before this game. if you are who you think you are, if you think you're going to contend this year, you needed a sweep up here. I mean, you need a sweep. And now you've beaten them once, and they're going to hear about it all day Monday on the talk shows. They're stuck up there in Boston. I'm talking about the Celtics, WEEI, and all the rest of this. There's going to be some Brad Stevens conversation over the next 48 hours. This all plays into the fact that the Heat need to handle business on Monday so that you don't have to worry, Tuesday, I'm sorry. You don't have to worry about who's Milwaukee going to use against you, who's Philadelphia going to use against you, okay? Or that you get caught against like, a Detroit team with absolutely nothing to lose in that last game of the year with a bunch of young kids flying around. Like, you have to just close this thing out. I'm more confident about it. The second half didn't worry me that much because I never felt like they were going to totally let it go. But this is a Heat team that they just don't handle prosperity very well. We know that. And
they can't rest on their laurels. Like Cooper Moorhead just tweeted this, that was the first game that the Heat have won all season while allowing an offensive rating of 120 plus. Mm-hmm. They were previously 0 of 15 in those games. So what they allowed Boston to do offensively, if Boston comes with that same game, the statistics tell us the Heat are going to get their ass kicked on Tuesday. So they have some stuff to clean up. And I think that that's actually good because when you talk about the prosperity and the victory, I think that Spoelstra is going to be able to rely on film to ground them in more of the reality versus, just getting a big win on the road. Like maybe, we've kind of sensationalized. So hopefully that, transpires on Tuesday night.
And having been there many times, Boston is not a city you can really go out and past 1 a.m. So they should be fine. It ain't Miami. So I think they'll be okay. All right. Thanks to our sponsors, as always, Miami Grill, therapistpreferred.com. Use that code 5 reasons. Everybody just keeps asking me, how do you get it? That's how you get it. It's pretty simple. So definitely do that. Of course, markbrownpa.com, marcbrownpa.com. You need estate planning or $295 on that closing fee if you mention 5 reasons. Have a good afternoon. We'll be back on Monday.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.